We're going to do the same thing that we just looked at on that last lesson, only this time our problems are going to have variables in them. But we're still going to take the same technique. We're trying to figure out which number we can multiply a certain number of times, or in this case, a variable being multiplied a certain number of times in order to get what's underneath the radical. You're going to have to use one of the properties of exponents that we've talked about in the past, and that property was if you have two terms that are being multiplied, then you add the exponents. So when we look at number 1, the square root of z squared, we're trying to think how many times or what we would have to multiply twice in order to get z squared. So our answer is just z, because z times z, that's the same thing as saying z to the first and z to the first. And when we add those exponents, we get z to the second. So our answer is just z for number 1. On number 2, the square root of x to the 6th, our answer would be x to the 3rd, because x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd, when we add those exponents, we get x to the 6th. Number 3, we start seeing a number with a variable. So following those same rules from the last lesson, the square root of 16 is 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. And the square root of x to the 16th is x to the 8th, because x to the 8th times x to the 8th, if we add those together, we get x to the 16th. So 4x to the 8th would be our answer. Number 4 through 7 have a root of 3. So now we have to think of what number or how many variables we would have to multiply 3 times in order to get that answer. So starting with the number, the 3rd root of 27, the number we would have to multiply 3 times would be 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. And the cube root of y to the 3rd is just y, because y times y times y, remember those all have an exponent of 1. If we add those 3 exponents together, we get y to the 3rd. Number 5, same thing. This time, though, we have a number and 2 different variables. So we're just going to look at each one individually. So the 3rd root of negative 125 is negative 5, because negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5 is negative 125. The 3rd root of a to the 12th is a to the 4th, because a to the 4th times a to the 4th times a to the 4th, if we add those exponents together, we get a to the 12th. And then the 3rd root of b to the 15th is b to the 5th, for the same reason over here. B to the 5th times b to the 5th times b to the 5th. If we add those exponents together, we get b to the 15th. So our answer is negative 5, a to the 4th, b to the 5th. Number 6, the 3rd root of 64 z to the 9th. Well, the 3rd root of 64 is 4, because 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. And then the 3rd root of z to the 9th is z to the 3rd, because z to the 3rd times z to the 3rd times z to the 3rd. If we add those exponents up, we get z to the 9th. And finally, on number 7, the 3rd root of 8, m to the 6th, n to the 12th. Well, the 3rd root of 8 is 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. The 3rd root of m to the 6th is m to the 2nd, and that is because m to the 2nd times m to the 2nd times m to the 2nd. If we add those together, we get m to the 6th. And then the 3rd root of n to the 12th is n to the 4th, because n to the 4th times n to the 4th times n to the 4th is n to the 12th when we add those exponents up. So we get 2m squared n to the 4th. On these last set of examples, they're going to give you 2 statements. In this case, they tell us that a function that they're calling f is equal to the square root of x minus 4. and a function that they're naming g is equal to the cube root of x plus 2. And they want us to find the function value. And you see on number 8, they have f of 8. So they want you to plug 8 into function f. All we have to do is plug 8 into function f. So this would give us the square root of 8 minus 4. Again, just plugging 8 in for that x. 8 minus 4, of course, is 4. And the square root of 4 is 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. Number 9, they want you to plug 6 in to function f. So same thing here. If we plug 6 in, we get 6 minus 4, because there's f. We're just replacing that x. 6 minus 4 is 2. Now the square root of 2 is going to be a decimal. We saw that in the last lesson. If they want you to, if they use the word simplify, then the square root of 2 would just be your answer. If they ask you to have a rounded answer to so many decimal places, again, just plugging this into the calculator, and your answer is going to be 1 point something, depending on whatever decimal place they want you to round it to. 10 and 11 are both asking you to plug into function g. So on 10, if we plug in -1 into this x here in g, we get the cube root of -1 plus 2. -1 plus 2 is 1. The cube root of 1 is 1, because 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. On 11, if we plug 1 into function g, we get the cube root of 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. And again, if they just say the word simplify or the exact value, then the cube root of 3 would just be your answer. That's what you would type in. If they ask for the approximate answer, you're going to want to type in the cube root of 3 and then just round that to however many decimal places that they ask you to. If you have any questions regarding either one of these lessons for this week, please don't forget to email me or join the Google Meet on Thursday.